lot of Half-Life 2 facts deserve a bit more explanation than I give them, so in this video I'll do that. Odessa will simply drop the RPG on the ground if you stay at the right distance away from him.
Ah yes, Gordon Freeman. I couldn't have asked for a finer volunteer. Colonel Odessa Cubbage at your service. Damn.
This is simply the place that they put the RPG. The hope was that you would be close enough to instantly pick it up and not notice. The scene where Alex gives you the gravity gun avoids this problem by simply running a console command. You can shoot enemy grenades, but not your own. Anyone who throws a grenade is considered the owner of that grenade. For most purposes, things that you own are considered an extension of yourself, and it wouldn't really make sense to shoot yourself, so your bullets go through the grenades. Touching a Strider's leg can sometimes launch you into the air. Normally when NPCs are on uneven ground, they would have one or both feet floating in the air because they can only go as far down as the place where their hitbox hits the ground. In order to make their feet always hit the ground, NPCs use something called inverse kinematics, which involves looking at the environment around their legs to find where the ground is exactly. When you jump onto a Strider's leg, you disrupt the system and the Strider thinks that your head is the ground. NPCs attempt to move their legs to the position they think is correct within 1/10 of a second, so the Strider moves its leg up at around 1,000 units per second. Striders are the only NPCs with individually solid legs. If you gain health after dying, the game will partly think that you've come back to life. If you hold down any movement key for the entire time, you can move around. Moving around in this state is kind of like swimming. If you look up and press forward, you will start to float off into the air. You can even use the controls for swimming up and down. You can get into this state by dying as a medic gives you a health kit, or by getting hit by a poison head crab and dying before the poison has fully healed. This happens as a result of a common programming pitfall, which is having multiple ways to represent the same thing. There are not 2, but 3 different ways Valve detected when the player is dead in Half-Life 2. The first one is life state, which is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. If this is 0, it means the player is alive. 1 means they're in the state of dying, and 2 means they're dead. This is mostly a holdover from Half-Life 1, where it was very common for NPCs to remain existent as a corpse after being killed, as opposed to Half-Life 2, where most of them are instantly replaced with ragdoll entities. When life state is anything other than alive, the player has extreme friction on the ground, life state becomes dead if it was dying, and then if life state is dead and no buttons are being held down, life state gets set to a 4th state called respawnable, which allows this same function to go down a different path next time it's called, where if there is a button being held, the game will reload. Life state also stops you from grabbing things while you're dead, hides the HUD, and it stops you from controlling your movement. The second way they detect death is a variable called dead flag, and like life state, it also stops you from controlling your movement in certain ways, but all of the ways it attempts to are already superseded by other checks. This variable is also set to true when you get a fail message, which is a little questionable. The final way to find if the player died is to simply check their health. When your health is 0 or lower after taking damage, life state is set to dying and dead flag is set to true. When checking if you're dead in order to stop you from controlling your movement, both health and life state are looked at. The movement code considers you dead when both life state is something other than alive and you have 0 or negative health. In the flying zombie state, your health is of course positive, so you are not considered dead by the movement code and can therefore move around. The way that your camera moves back up is a total accident. There used to be an unrelated bug where the camera could get stuck in the duct height while you're not ducked. They couldn't figure out how to fix this, so they just forced the camera back to the correct height. They tried to make this not apply when you're dead, but they did so using the same faulty check for death. But I'm of course leaving out the elephant in the room. Why can you fly? There are many different kinds of movement in Half-Life 2. Players, NPCs, props, projectiles, and other things all have different modes of movement. When you die, your movement type, or move type, changes to one with different physics that respond to attempts to move upward in the same way that underwater movement does, as opposed to walking on land where the input is basically ignored. While I was editing, I got the idea to try this in Half-Life 1 as well, and it turns out, yes, you can do this in Half-Life 1 as well. It's not possible to fully confirm why this also works in Half-Life 1, but it seems to be much the same story. The main differences are that the timing is much more strict, your camera does not move back up, and you cannot fly. As you know, this crow flies directly into a barnacle. But if you kill the barnacle fast enough, the crow will fly on to freedom. However, if something hits the barnacle before the crow does this. Remember the video where we talked about nodes and hints? When a bird is flying away, it's going to the closest hint node to itself that has the hint type crow fly to point. When the barnacle is alive, the crow flies to this point right under the barnacle. If the barnacle dies, this hint is deleted and the crow flies to another point farther away. Birds don't have any AI for what to do after they reach a fly-to point, because they're meant to be deleted by triggers when they reach them, or die in this case. They don't even understand that they should stop moving, so the crow just keeps flying back to the node. On this level, if you don't kill all of the soldiers in the outside area, they'll eventually come inside and kind of ruin this cutscene.
Who's hurt?
Winston's been hit.
Patch him up and get him to the back as soon as he's stable. Gordon Freeman. It's incredible you made it. We've been getting communication from Alex. I'll see if I can reach her again. Follow me.
This is as far inside as they can go due to an invisible barrier. This will cause Leon to become confused later on. Normally, if you don't approach the screen with Alex, Leon will turn around and say, "Over here."
Over here, Dr. Freeman.
But if he's become confused, he does this.
Gordon, you made it through Ravenholm. Thank God. I need your help. They've taken my father. He's been taken to Nova Prospect. The border guard.
Idea. Hold on a sec. Norco? Bring the buggy out. Put it on the dock right now. Gordon Freeman will be driving it.
Will do. I just finished mounting an ammo crate on the back.
Good timing. Okay, Alex, we're all set.
This one is actually surprisingly easy to explain. When Leon is standing over here, there's nothing forcing him to actually stay there, so his normal AI kicks in, and his AI wants to find cover near the enemy. That's why he runs in this direction. The reason that he stops here is because the conditions for resuming the cutscene are that you're standing and looking close enough to Leon within certain limits, not the television screen. The rest of the scripting assumes that Leon will be in the normal spot, so we see some funny animations. The question naturally arises, why can't you do this with, say, a grenade to spook him into a different place? This is because, even though he's not being nailed down to the specific place, he still has a variable set, which basically tells him to ignore most things that are happening around him. I guess finding cover from an enemy was just something that never came up. So yeah, is this good? Because I could do a lot more of this.